Hi everyone, this is objective 2 for your first power focus area that is called linear, quadratic, and exponential functions. This objective is all about you'll be given a word problem and then you have to make an equation, fill out a table, and then last answer this question about what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so let's start with reading this word problem and creating an equation. This extra little box right here is what's going to help you actually make the equation. All right, so this word problem says, and again I'm reading it right here, in 1955 the population of bald eagles in the United States was 2,000. The population of bald eagles has been increasing 2% in the United States every 5 years since 1955. Create a function to model the bald eagle population, then fill out the table. Okay, the first thing you need, whenever you read these word problems, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, did this problem say that it was increasing or decreasing? Well, when I read it, I said this word increasing, right? This situation, the population of bald eagles is increasing. So when I look at this picture down here, there's two options, growing or decaying. That's the same thing as increasing. If you're growing, you're increasing, or decaying means you're decreasing. So this says increasing. I'm going to use the growing equation, all right? We already have y equals, because remember, f of x is the same thing as y. So we already have our y equals. We need to fill out the rest. The rest of it says a parentheses 1 plus r parentheses, that's a little x up high. I'm going to move this over to the side just to make it bigger so we can really see it. Y equals a, 1 plus r, and the x is up high. Okay, so let's see what each of these letters mean. What does a mean? A means the initial amount. Well, how many bald eagles were in the United States initially at the very beginning? It says that the bald eagles in the United States was 2,000. So that means that 2, and again, you can delete these lines when you type on them. So 2,000 is my starting amount, okay? Then I have a parenthesis, okay? Then I have a 1. You're always going to have a 1 there, and then a plus sign. The main difference between increasing or decreasing is increasing has a plus sign in the parentheses, decreasing has a minus sign. Okay, so plus sign. What is R? Okay, R is the growing or decaying rate. So what is it growing by? Right, and it says it's often a percent. So let's look in here. I see a percent, right? And it says it's increasing or growing by 2%. So that's what R is going to be. However, when you put percents in an equation, it always has to be in decimal form. Okay, in decimal form. So this 2% needs to be a decimal. If you don't know how to go from a percent to a decimal, what you're going to do is always, I'm just opening up my calculator down here, you're going to always take the percent, which is 2, and divide it by 100. That makes your decimal. So my decimal is going to be 0.02, 0.02, okay? If you had 50%, you divide it by 100, that gives you your decimal 0.5. So whatever percent you have, divide it by 100, and that's your decimal. All right, so I got my decimal, I need a parentheses, and then we have an x up high. Since I'm just making this equation right now, I'm just going to do an up arrow, and I know that x is up high. All right, so I just made an equation right here that actually represents this bald eagle word problem. All right, so I'm gonna make this smaller again, but use this picture down here to help you create your equation. All right, now I need to fill out this table. So it's saying here are the years 1955, 1960, 65, 70. What were the populations for each of these years? And I'm going to use this equation to help me know the population. I already know what the population in 1955 was because the problem says in 1955 the population was what? 2,000. So I'm just going to put that in there already, 2,000. And you're typing this in as I am, okay? Now, 1960, I need to know what the population is there. Well, I'm going to use this equation, all right? But instead of the x, what I'm going to plug in for x is 2, because it's my second population. Even though it's 5 years later, it's the second population that I'm taking. So I'm going to plug in 2, all right? So what I want you to do actually in another tab is open up Desmos. And we're just going to type this equation right here into Desmos, but instead of x, we're going to put a 2. All right, so let's start with 2000. I'm going to type in 2000. Next is a parenthesis, right? I'm just typing what I see. Then I see 1 plus 0.02. So in that parenthesis is 1 plus 0.02. Parentheses, and then remember I need this x up high, but instead of x it's going to be a 2. So how you do that is you're going to pull up this little keyboard down here, and you're going to use we're not going to always be putting a 2 up high, so let's actually use this button that can put anything up high. So it says A, then a little b up high, so I'm going to go up high, and then I'm going to put a 2 in. Oh, not 23, 2. So what's my answer? 2080.8. Now, we're talking about bald eagles, talking about an animal, right? You can't have 0.8 of an animal. So we're just going to put this number, 2080. That's how many, roughly, right, how many eagles there were in the year 1960. Not 0.8. You can't have 0.8 of a bird, right? So we're going to just do 2080. All right. We need to figure out, what about in 1965? Well, this time instead of x, we're going to put 3. 1, 2. This is my third population. Okay, so let's go back here. Don't retype it. Just simply change this 2 to 3. How many eagles are in my population? 2,122. Not this 0.416. You can't have 0.4 of a bird. Okay, 2,122. 2,122. And then what am I going to type in for this last one for x? I'm not going to put a 3. What am I going to put? I'm going to put a 4. All right. So again, we'll just go here, change it 4. There was 2,164 bald eagles. 2,164. So you can see that there's more and more bald eagles every time I take the population. It's increasing. All right. Last, it's going to ask you this question. This is the last part of the Power Focus area. It's going to ask you this question. As the number of years, or x, increases, what does the value of f of x approach? This sounds really weird. Sorry, all this is asking you, trying to highlight what the question I'm on. All this is asking you is, as your years go on, what is happening to your eagle population? Is it getting bigger or smaller? It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So what is it getting closer to? If it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, it's getting closer and closer to what? The answer is actually going to be infinity. It's just getting bigger. I'm going to erase this line because I don't need it. It's just getting bigger and bigger, so it's getting closer and closer to infinity. Sorry. If you want to put the little sign for infinity, which if you don't know what that looks like, I'm going to show you, because Summit on the content assessment will actually not have the word infinity, it'll have the symbol for it. So what that looks like, and don't worry about on here, but I do want to show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to type it in. It's this little sideways 8. So you may see this as an answer. That means infinity, okay? Now, if this was decreasing, or the population was going down and getting smaller and smaller and smaller, what would it be getting closer to? It'd be getting closer to 0. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until there's no more eagles left, or 0. All right, so that's objective 2. You will see these problems on the content assessment. Good luck.